to see all of you standing here. That's really nice just to stand here and look at you all, look at church, say good morning to you all and be blessed by being part of this community. I'm going to talk about freedom this morning. And it was lovely yesterday, our computer's playing up, but I thought I really must listen to Tony and Sally's message before this morning. And it was great yesterday to hear Tony's message about smashing things and setting fire to things. And just the fact that we can have that freedom. And then Sally's message where it talked to us about the fact that we have got a manual to help us in our day-to-day lives. And I just want to talk this morning from one of my absolutely favourite passages about the reinstatement of Peter, about remaining free, and that we have that potential as Christians to remain free through eternity, and eternity starts now. Now, I looked at several definitions of freedom, and one I liked, and actually I don't know why, I think Sally shared in her message that a lot of this research on the computer, well, this definition didn't have a name next to it, so an unknown source, and it said freedom for us as Christians is the freedom to live the life of Christ. It is the freedom to experience His abundant life. That is the freedom from the law, which Tony spoke about, from guilt, and from the desires of our sinful nature. It's lovely, isn't it, when you get little pictures of things come in your everyday experience. As you saw from the notices, I won a year's membership to Slimming World. And a hamper of lovely food. And in their literature, the wording on the front is things like hope, free, go for it. All really positive things. Now, those of us who work in a hospital environment, the worst thing you can say to a patient is that you are nil by mouth. You put it above their bed, it's written in your hand over, they'll be ringing their bell, they'll go, "Nurse, can I eat yet?" No. And if they can get away with it, they will surreptitiously drink and eat. And you think, oh, there's no freedom in that because they have to repeat the process again. So I like the fact that it was positive. It was free. Now, I will go to Slimming World, and for me it's not from a position of thinking, actually this body ain't good enough. It's because I want to climb the Kilimanjaro. And to do that, I need to be lighter, and I need to be fitter. So for me, it's about freedom. I want to lose weight so that I can be healthier, and so I can fulfill a dream. So it's about positive, isn't it? Carlo, I wonder if you could read the scripture for me, is that okay? From John chapter 21. And it's the miraculous catch of fish, verse 1 to 22. 1 to 22.
Jesus does a miracle at the sea. After this, Jesus appeared to his disciples again. It was by the Sea of Galilee. Here is what happened. Simon, Peter, and Thomas, who was called Didymus, were there together. Nathanael from Cana in Galilee and the sons of Zebedee were with them. So were two other disciples. "I'm going to fish," Simon Peter told them. They said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and got into the boat. That night they didn't catch anything. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, "Friends, don't you have any fish?" "No," they answered. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat. There you will find some fish." When they did, they could not pull the net into the boat. There were too many fish in it. Then the disciple Jesus loved said to Simon Peter, "It is the Lord." As soon as Simon Peter heard that, he put his coat on, He had taken it up earlier, then he jumped into the water, and the other disciples followed in the boat. They were towing the net full of fish. The shore was only about 100 meters away. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals. There were fish on it. There was also some bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." Simon Peter climbed into the boat. He dragged the net to shore. It was full of large fish. There were 153 of them. But even with that many fish, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread, gave it to them. He did the same thing with the fish. This was the third time Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was raised from the dead. Jesus takes Peter back. When Jesus and the disciples had finished eating, Jesus spoke to Simon Peter. He asked, "Simon, son of John, do you really love me more than these others do?" "Yes, Lord," he answered. "You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus asked, "Simon, son of John, do you really love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." Jesus spoke to him a third time. He asked, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter felt bad because Jesus asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" He answered, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." What I'm about to tell you is true. When you were younger, you dressed yourself. You went whenever you wanted to go. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands. Someone else will dress you. Someone else will lead you where you do not want to go. Jesus said this to point out how Peter would die. His death would bring glory to God. Then Jesus said to him, "Follow me." Peter turned round. He saw that the disciple Jesus loved was following them. He was the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper. He had said, "Lord, who is going to hand you over to your enemies?" When Peter saw that disciple, he asked, "Lord, what will happen to him?" Jesus answered, "Suppose I want him to remain alive until I return. What does that matter to you? You must follow me."
Thank you very much. It's quite a lengthy passage, but it's a passage that has so much in it, isn't it? But it's not a difficult passage to read, is it? It speaks to, our human experience, doesn't it? And about relationship. And the first thing that I think we need to think about when we look at living in freedom is knowing the source of our freedom. Knowing the source of our freedom. Peter was an accomplished fisherman. It was what he was doing when Jesus called him to be his disciple. He knew the Sea of Galilee like the back of his hand. He knew how to fish. Now, according to John's Gospel, Peter hadn't yet met the Lord since he denied him. So at a time when Peter had denied the Lord, this was what he was doing. He went back to fishing. He went back to something that felt comfortable, felt familiar, and he knew how to do without thinking too much about it. But we notice here that actually they didn't catch anything. That spoke to me and said that we need the Lord to keep us free, even when we know what we're doing. We need his freedom in all aspects of our life, and to commit the things we're good at to him as well.